Hey guys, yes, this is a very early morning live stream for me. It's 6:15 a.m. for me here in England. It's a very, very cold one. I think we're -5 at the moment, -5C, not -5F. And I appreciate that this is going to be a really bad time to do a live for most people who watch my channel. But I wanted to come live and just get this information out rather than recording a video, editing a video, waiting for it to upload. And then that takes like the whole morning, honestly. And I am busy today. So I wouldn't have had the time to be able to do a long video to discuss what I want to talk about. So decided to come live. It's fine. Most people will catch this on the replay. And none of us are going to be worse for wear for it. I'm not going to keep you too long. I just want to get this information out, have a chat about it. I've got a NewsNation clip to show you. Just, I think it's interesting. It might not be relevant, but I think it's an interesting little segment on NewsNation. So I want to play that as well. And yeah, that's why I'm here. So let's see who's in the house. Just give people a chance to come in here. Gloria is going to try and stay up. Good stuff. I won't keep you long because I've got to start my day. And my dogs are not going to let me stay on here long. They'll want to go for a walk. So, yeah. Hi, Fifi. Thought I was up early and I'm about to go live. Yeah, well, you know, that's the way it goes here in my house. It's after midnight in Texas. Bedtime in California. It certainly is. Grey Wolf, you've got insomnia. Oh dear. After midnight in Tennessee. Hi, Kim. Laced in Chains. Hello. Hello, Chris. I wish I had closed captions. There is a way for you to put closed captions on yourself. If you're on Google Chrome browser, just go to your settings and type in captions, and it will give you closed captions. So that's a way to do it. I can't do it my end because it will show up for me, but it won't show up on the stream. But there is a way to get closed captions if you're using a Google Chrome browser. I'm assuming that other browsers will have that function as well. It's just an option for you. Rob's in Ontario, Canada. 4:15 p.m. in Brisbane, down under with love. Well, that's a good time. That's a good time. It's a good time for the Australians. Hi, Karma, Mama Styles, Danny, Burlington Park, Lady Di, 1 a.m. in Massachusetts. Trina, Lynn, Maltese Cross, Mel. All right, let's get into this. I'm not going to keep you too long. Hello, everyone. Oh, lots of people coming in, actually. That's good. That's good. I put slow mode on thinking I wouldn't need it. But there you go. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. So we've got a couple of member comments here. Down under with love, who's been a member for 2 months now. Here with bells on. It's Christmas after all. These member comments, I can't see them on StreamYard. I have to look at them on YouTube, which is weird. It's annoying. And then Stardust Shorty, member for 1 month, says yay from Canada. All right. So I thought this was possibly an important break in the case. I was going to talk. The thumbnail says the elephant in the room because I'd done this thumbnail already and I still think it's relevant to what I want to discuss. That we've got no idea what Xana and Ethan were doing between about 9 p.m. and 1:45 p.m. At 1:45 a.m. sorry, when they are alleged to have got home. That's nearly 5 hours. And everyone is focused on the whereabouts and the people around Kaylee and Maddie, November 12th into November 13th. You know, with Hoodie Guy, other people at the grub truck. And I'm wondering whether that's the wrong angle. I really am wondering whether that's the wrong angle, because the elephant in the room, the thing that it's sitting there, it's sitting right there and no one can explain it, is what Xana and Ethan were doing. And I'm not saying that they got into a massive fight that instigated all of this, not at all. But if their whereabouts can be honed in on, then, you know, was someone following them? Is it someone connected to them that's led them to this? That's led, you know, everyone to this? But the break in the case comes from the Moscow PD. And I know a lot of you will have seen this already. This is 7 hours ago now. This came out while I was sleeping. I went to bed early last night. So detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding the case. If you know or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone who may have been driving this vehicle on the days preceding or the day of the murders, please forward the information to the tip line. And the tip line is 208-883-7180. Or you can email tipline@ci.moscow.id.us, and digital media can be forwarded to fbi.gov/Moscow, Idaho. Your information, whether you believe it's significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these murders. Below are photos, the stock images of the Hyundai Elantra, not the actual vehicle. And then they go on to say no suspect has been identified. So this is just a stock image of a Hyundai Elantra. I don't know how common this vehicle is in the area, but those are stock images of it. Now, the reason why I think this is a potential break in the case is that it's the first time we've had such a specific piece of information from Moscow PD. So this vehicle, if it was parked or cruising, I think more importantly, if it was cruising around the area, if it was seen driving around the area, they need to find the owner of this vehicle. It's not saying that the owner of this vehicle is a suspect in any way at all. It's just that if they were driving around, driving home, driving from somewhere, they might have seen something. And this comes on the back of the altercation that happened on the field. I think the field's called Band Field, near the frat house where Ethan and Xana were earlier on in the night. And there was a call at 3:01 a.m. I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of this, and some body cam has been released. I haven't seen the full body cam. Apparently there's 20 minutes of body cam that they've got from this incident. And I'm wondering whether the police call to that scene, and they've said this is unrelated, the call to the band field near the frat house was an unrelated incident. But because there was obviously several officers at that scene with body cam, I'm wondering whether it's in some way connected. Not the events are connected, but the you know, the police have analysed that body cam. Obviously, they will have analysed that body cam. And if this vehicle wasn't caught on their body cam, you know, the absence of evidence is just as important as seeing something. Do you see what I mean? That if there's nothing on that police body cam and there's 20 minutes of that footage, well, if the report was 3:01 and officers got there shortly after and were there 20 minutes, well, that takes us up to close to, what, 20 past 3, 3:30 even. So if this vehicle is not captured on that body cam, I think that's a significant piece of information as well, because this vehicle has come from an area not close to that frat house. Do you see what I mean? That the two things, this tip that's come in, it says on the update here that it's a tip or a lead that has led investigators to look for this additional information. So it's honing in if, and this is just my idea here, if that vehicle wasn't caught on that police body cam, then that vehicle has come from a specific direction. So I need that 20 minutes of body cam footage, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm guessing as they've released it, there's nothing critical to the investigation, which gives me all the more reason to think this vehicle came from a very specific direction. And that in itself is very relevant. So I hope that the police will analyse, like, the map. I'm guessing that they're looking back at all the different surveillance cameras that are available on the roads. I know occupants didn't have, there's not very many ring cameras or anything like that, but surveillance on the road, if that vehicle has come from a specific direction, well, that's potentially very, very significant to understanding what's gone on. And also ruling out this vehicle. This vehicle could simply be a resident in the area coming home from somewhere. But as they say that it's very close to the residence, close to 1122 King Street, the murder house, to put it bluntly, you know, a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence. Now, if we remember from the reporters being at the scene, Chris McDonough going there, there's a car park round the back that is virtually dark and looks direct at night, will be really dark, and it looks directly onto the back of the house. So I think this is really, really, really important information. I think it's vital that this car is ruled out ASAP. That whoever owns this vehicle comes forward and says, look, this is my vehicle. I was XYZ the night, and they can rule it out. Otherwise, if they can't rule it out, then I think the focus of the investigation is going to move towards identifying this vehicle. So I think that's really, really important. Now, I've got some, I want to look through the chat before I go on to the NewsNation clip, which, again, might not be relevant in this instance, but I think it's important to consider anyway. So I did see some questions coming in. I've got to try and find them now. Let's have a look. Everybody's telling me the time. Sneaking a peek because you work nights. Regarding Xana and Ethan believe they were in a bar. Xana's mother said that, didn't she? She said she believed that they were in a bar. And she can't be sure, though. That might be just her assumption. Thank you, Buddha in a Beanie, for the $4.99 and the avocado. That's very kind. Tina, member for 1 month. Look up Ellie Case 22M10055, same car, on Google Earth. Okay. Okay, I'll look into that. I'll have to put it on my notes because I'll not remember that number. Okay. 22M1. Oh, 5. Right, I've put that in my notes. All right. I did have some questions. You can tell it's early morning for me. My brain hasn't kicked in yet. Wasn't they at Ethan's home? No, not for the whole time. They were seen at the frat party between 8 and 9 p.m. But then there's almost a 5-hour gap where it's unclear. Now, the investigators might know. The investigators might know where they were, and they've not released that information for a purpose, a reason. But we don't know where they were. Now, they could have just gone home, because the frat party and the home are very close. It's like 2-minute walk. So they could simply have gone home and then gone out again later. But it intrigues me why they've said from almost day one that Ethan and Xana arrived home at 1:45 a.m. Now, were they seen by someone or on a camera heading home about 1:45 a.m.? If so, then there's this massive gap in the timeline. And instead of focusing on what Kaylee and Maddie were doing, the reason why I think we're all focused on them is for 2 reasons: the grub truck footage, which people are poring over, and the fact that it's alleged that Kaylee had a stalker. So those 2 things have led people to focusing on Kaylee and Maddie, one or both of them potentially being the target. But it's a huge elephant in the room that people are talking about. And I'm sure the investigators are just as focused on what Ethan and Xana would. I keep saying Xana. Ethan and Xana were doing, as well as what Kaylee and Maddie were doing. So, a common piece of crap in the US. It's not a new car, is it? That's the thing. So it could be that this is a student's vehicle, and they've acquired an older vehicle, perhaps from a parent, or it could be a residence vehicle, and this not being connected to the university student body at all. You saw it on Jewel's channel tonight. I don't know who Jewel is, honestly. Did you see the white car everyone's looking for up for sale a week ago at a car dealership and blocks away from Jack S.'s house? No, I haven't seen that. I've been asleep. I've literally come live with this update. So the problem is, right, I'll put this picture up again. The problem is, you know, a common car, older car, white car. Now, white obviously stands out. Right, at night, a white car will stand out. But white is such a common colour for a car. So they're gonna get tons of tips now saying I saw a white car. And then I'd say probably 3/4 of those tips, it's not a Hyundai Elantra, whatever it's called. You're shocked a Hyundai is still drivable after 10 years. Dear. You unsubscribe from NewsNation. They've been full on clickbaiting. I think I wouldn't say it's clickbait. I wouldn't go that far. I think they're just trying to cover every possible angle. Every possible angle. Yeah, it's not going cold. It's literally just warming up, I would say. I think it's, as I said in my video yesterday, I think it's completely the opposite from going cold. Completely the opposite. They've only just started getting data back. And what I mean by that is, yes, they'll have things like DNA, you know, physical evidence from blood spots and things like that. They'll have that back by now, I would imagine. But things like electronic evidence, going through social media profiles, going through servers, you know, if things were deleted, going through cell tower data, looking for unusual pings in the area. All of that takes time because the companies, the relevant companies, have to be subpoenaed to release that information. So it all takes time. So a lot of that information they won't have back yet. Exactly. 3 weeks isn't enough time to process the evidence. It's far from cold. Absolutely. This is exactly what I'm saying. And that's why I said in my video yesterday, I totally empathize with Kaylee's family, thinking that, you know, they're scared, that they're keeping the case out there, doing loads of interviews because they're scared it's going cold. It's anything but. It's only just warming up. It's completely the opposite. Yeah, if they don't have the license number or VIN, no one can have proof it was for sale anyway. Yeah, absolutely. And with it being such a common vehicle, there will be car dealerships that have sold similar vehicles. The fact that there's no license plate is obviously vital. Food delivery vehicle. Interesting. I mean, it could be. It could be that this was a food delivery vehicle, completely unrelated. If so, there'll be a trace. That'll be easy to rule out because there'll be a track of the order. Who ordered this food? Where from? And then the delivery driver will be a named person to the food company. So that'll be easy to rule out if that's the case. It was something I thought of, actually. You know, the fact that, you know, people are just coming in and, or they've had a night partying in the house and the party's winding down and some people order food. So, yeah, it was something I thought of, that if this is, you know, it's connected to a resident, it's completely unconnected to these murders. It's connected to a resident. It's either someone coming home from a night out or it's someone going to that property, and that well could be a food delivery. So, yeah, they don't know. That's the thing. Does it have Idaho plates? We don't know. The body cam footage shows the third floor bedroom light turning off. Well, that would be Maddie and Kaylee going to bed, I would imagine. I need to get... Has anybody seen? Has anybody seen the full 20 minutes? I've seen the clips that the news has put out, but I want the whole 20 minutes because I can download that footage and edit it so it's lighter. So it'll be easier to see the... because it's very dark, isn't it? Honestly, I'd rather wait to see if we get this car ruled out or we get a license plate before I try and link it to particular individuals. I don't think that's fair. I'm being very, very cautious linking anything to specific individuals. Looks like the car they towed away. 2022 Google footage, one just like it was parked near the side street behind the house on the side view. Okay, so it could well be a resident's vehicle. I'll check that out though. The only vehicles that I know were towed away were the victims' vehicles and then the surviving roommates' vehicles. Those are the only ones I've seen being towed away. Jay has the video. Who's Jay? Is that Jay's for Justice? I just want to see it and see if I can Plunder was trying to get the entire body cam. They did say they were going to release the entire body cam. It's just I went to bed. and I was hoping that I'd find it before I went to bed, but I was really tired last night, so I went to bed early. Oh, yeah. Yeah. To be a fly on the wall. Zav Girl has the footage. Spotted vehicle at 3 a.m. on King Street. Okay. So it could well be that this vehicle is on that body cam. Yeah, we don't know. As I've just said, a commenter just said, because we don't have the license plate or the VIN, we can't say that that was a car that was up for sale. It's a common car, a common colour of a car. Apparently several creators have this body cam, so that'll be my job when I get off this live. Zavgirl did a video on the body cam footage and you definitely can see headlight beams clearly at 301. Yeah, but a headlight beam isn't this vehicle, is it? It could be anybody's headlights. No, oops. I don't think so. I don't think so. When Chris McDonough went, there was no snow on the ground that I recall. I'm not sure. I don't think there was. I think the snow came down after. But if anybody's in the area who can tell us that, then please do. Because it could have snowed, dried up, and then melted, rather. Used cars are not as prevalent as they were before the pandemic. Oh, I don't know about that. What about that? No snow. Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Snow started last week. Okay, so that's good. It's good to know that. Hello, Soul 4 Music 79. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome to memberships. Thank you for joining. If you've got the car's VIN number, then give that to the cops. Give that to the cops. Used cars are hard to find. When you find one, they're big money. Really? It's completely the opposite in the UK. Most people don't buy new vehicles in the UK. Most people buy a used vehicle. Like my son's vehicles are 2014. Not a Hyundai, a different. My daughter's got 2 vehicles, both used vehicles. One work and one personal. My mum's car is falling apart. It's that old. Most people. I can't think of anybody in my personal circle or in my neighborhood who's got a new car, brand new car. So it's completely the opposite here. Now, obviously, my area isn't not representative of the entire UK, but just saying. Car lots were empty. All right, okay, so it's down to supply. All right, interesting. But it could be that whoever owns this vehicle has had it for several years. You know, it's a 2011 to 13 model. So they could have had it well before the pandemic. So that kind of line becomes irrelevant. Yours is worth about $500. Yeah, Hyundai. Yeah. We have a lot of Hyundai things in the UK. Hyundai is a common, not just for cars either. It's a common company. Anyway, I want to play this NewsNation clip. I'm not saying it's relevant at all. I'm just saying that this is an interesting line. And it reminds us that this could be somebody who isn't a student, somebody who isn't connected to the university, but somebody who's disgruntled and obviously has taken it to the ultimate extreme, but hates students. And I thought this is interesting because it's something that I've been talking about. Thank you, Cindy, for the $9.99 super sticker and the hippo in a gaming chair. Interesting. Thank you. You know, I've been saying that this could be somebody who has targeted that house. And this is what we mean by targeting the house. It's not the house. It's not because they live at that residence, as in the residence itself. It's that the people that live there represent a group who the perpetrator doesn't like. This has got lots of characteristics of a hate crime, in my opinion. I've been saying this for a while. This is a knife attack. This is personal. This is somebody who has a real grudge against the victims. But it could be that it's not against any one of the 4 victims, that it's that they represent a group. They're exemplars of a group that this person hates. And that maybe they've been scoping out a number of different student residences. And this one was chosen because it's 5 girls living there. It's easy access. You've got that car park round the back, which is really dark. You've got the trees round the back, which makes it, you know, easy to slip away. This is why I want to know what direction this vehicle came in, or what area. Like they said King Street, but what area? Where? You know, was it seen around the King Street car park? So, yeah, I thought this was a different angle. We have got to just bear in mind that this might not be a student. This might not be somebody connected to the university, to the frat houses and the sororities. It's somebody in the local area who despises the student body, or dislikes the lifestyle of young women who are part of that student body. There's a number of different angles you can take from it, but I just want to remind everybody of that. So that's why I've chosen this clip to play. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that next, the Peeping Tom. I'm going to talk about that next, because that came out just before I went to bed last night. And spoiler alert, I don't think it's connected. I think it's interesting, very interesting. Personally, I don't think it's connected, because I think if they've got the DNA back by now from the house, this guy's a felon. So I think if this guy, you know, is obviously in the DNA database, then they can do a quick match on him. But let's play this NewsNation clip here. What am I doing here? There we go. There we are. So, could the town gown conflict be a possible motive? So, I've seen this happen. I've worked for 2 different universities in the UK, and universities tend to buy property. Once they start expanding, they buy properties, and it means that they buy all the cheaper properties to use for things like student housing, or, you know, different services connected to the university. And it means that there's less property available for local residents. Universities bring in a huge amount of money to an area. They are major employers in an area. Not, you know, you've got to think it's not just the lecturing staff who may or may not live in the local area, but they might come to live in the local area. You've got thousands of students who are spending money in the local area. And then the jobs that universities provide, you know, you've got catering staff, you've got security, parking, cleaners, you know, they are administrators, secretaries. They are major employers in a particular area, but that doesn't mean to say that the noise that students make and the increase in the population is welcomed by everybody. So they generally, you know, there is a conflict. And we had my university that I was a student at. So I'm going back to the late 1990s. I was a student at this university. And then once I graduated, I went on to do a PhD there. And then I got a job there. And I ended up working there for 13 years. So I had like a 20-year association with one particular university in my area. And in that time, we had a number of different people who would stalk the university campus with a knife. It happened on a number of occasions that students were threatened, students were attacked. There was one student sexually assaulted. Not seriously, not hard, but, you know, still. All these people were caught. You know, university campuses have got a lot of surveillance in the immediate kind of campus around the buildings, but these residents that use the campus as almost like a stalking ground, they scope places out. We had one. It wasn't directly related to the university. We had one stabbing. It was on the street where my building was, at the bar where a lot of students and lecturers went to drink or went to have lunch and things like that. It turned out it was unconnected, but it terrified us all. And this was one young man stabbed another young man in the neck on the street right near the building that I was working at. And he managed to stumble into the bar, and then he died right there in the bar. And this came on the back of a number of reports of people threatening students with knives. So you can understand how terrifying that was. So it's something that but it turned out this was a personal conflict. It was over drugs. It wasn't related to the students. It wasn't the town gown conflict that this clip's going to talk about. But I have seen this. That there are a lot of local residents employed by the university. There's, lots of people who welcome the students for the business that they bring in. But there's another angle, there's another group of people in all university towns that are unhappy with it, that don't want them there, that think they're a nuisance. Now, team that, this is why I want to know where Ethan and Zanna were. Team that with, perhaps somebody who is mentally deranged, to put it bluntly. You've got a recipe for a really serious event. Is that what we've seen? It's just an angle to consider. So I'm going to play this. It's 5 minutes. I might stop it a couple of times. I'll need to stop it for fair use. But let's just think about this.
In Moscow, the University of Idaho student body makes up almost half of the town's population of just under 26,000. And Moscow is no different from most college towns. There's a dynamic between the students who come to study and the town residents who live there permanently, and they don't always get along. It is called town versus gown, and it was a topic in last year's mayoral race. The current mayor noted the school's immense contribution to Moscow's economy and called the university students, quote, importers of cash who, quote, bring money from mom and dad. But another complained that the school...
That is entirely true. Absolutely true. As the real sunflower says here, if someone ruined the college, the whole town will go downhill and home values will plummet. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Because there's thousands of people. I don't know whether it was this clip or another clip, that the University of Idaho in Moscow employs 2,000 people in the local area. So you're absolutely right. If you break a campus, if you so significantly negatively affect the enrollment and the university has to make cuts, they'll make cuts across the board. They'll not just make cuts in the lecturing staff, they'll make cuts across the board. And it will have a massively negative impact on the local economy. But that doesn't mean to say that everybody thinks like that, because, they're thinking in a very tunnel visioned kind of way. A person who might despise the university being there for whatever reason, noise or, coming in, taking our properties and, the etc., etc. If it's someone who's so mentally deranged, they're not thinking straight. They're not thinking about how it would impact the local economy if students stop wanting to go to that university. They're not thinking that. They're thinking in a very tunnel vision kind of way, because that's what perpetrators of hate crime do. They're honing in on exemplars of a particular group that they despise. It's a very particular psychology. is hate crime. I studied it for years. I used to teach this stuff. So I do know a lot about hate crime, and I've published on hate crime. You know, so the psyche of a hate crime perpetrator is quite a particular one. And they are not well people, generally speaking. They're honed in, tunnel vision like, on exemplars of a group that they despise. You know, it doesn't matter what the group is. It could be racially motivated, religion motivated, gender motivated, student motivated in this instance. So it's important. It's important to consider. Thank you, Technical Out, $4.99. Appreciate your coverage of this and other cases. Your ability to keep and convey an open mind is laudable. Thank you. I try. I do try. I do go down rabbit holes sometimes. I do. Anyway, let's play some more of this.
School's, quote, learning climate had given way to a, quote, social climate, with students thinking they should, quote, have something just because they want it, end quote. The question tonight, though, is after 24 days without so much as a solid lead, could local resentment, justified or not, have spurred a deranged resident to commit 4 horrific murders? I turn now to the man who wrote the book on the subject. Steve Gavazzi is a professor at the Ohio State University's College of Education and Human Ecology. He's also a family therapist. His book is called The Optimal Town Gown Marriage. Lauren Patterson also joins us. She is a reporter for Northwest Public Broadcasting and Spokane Public Radio. She's also a Moscow resident, and she went to the University of Idaho. Welcome to both of you. Steve, let me begin with you. What kind of...
That's interesting, Joan Kelly. Political views, conservative town with liberal students. Taken to its most extreme, yeah, there could be a political angle to it. That these liberal students coming in, you know, sleeping with each other, you know, the immorality of it all, kind of thing. And somebody who becomes so tunnel visioned may start off with this as being a political thing, but it turns into something much deeper, much more extreme, much more radical. And to commit a quadruple murder in the way it was done, this is someone who is very radical about how they're thinking. This is not somebody who just wants to take somebody out because they dislike them. This has all the hallmarks, in my opinion, of a hate crime. Thank you, What's the Obsession, for the $5. What a pleasure. Never get to make these live streams. Michelle is my favorite. Oh, thank you. Boomer Baby says, do you think that they are also checking more specifically professors of the girls and the one lad? I think they will have a list of everybody in the classes that the victims took, all 4 victims, including the staff that they come in contact with. And that's such an easy list to get because obviously the university knows what student is taking what class and what time they're taking that class, and they know the professor that is teaching that class. Absolutely. I think that will be one of the first things that investigators got, is the class list and the teaching staff. Yeah, Bebop, I have heard about the Peeping Tom. I have just briefly mentioned it. I'm going to mention it again before I sign off here. I don't think it's related, but Trina, what's this about? Do you want to join my Michelle Anonymous? Lol. I have no idea what that is. That's so anonymous that I don't even know about it. All right, let's carry on with this.
Conflicts really are the most common when it comes to town versus gown?
Great question. There usually are 2 typical issues that are part of most town gown conflicts. The first, which goes without saying, is student misbehavior. And the second has to do with real estate. Now, student misbehavior is self-explanatory. It's often fueled by alcohol or other substance use. The additional piece about real estate happens because universities are tax-free entities. And so anytime the university takes land to further develop it for the university, it goes off of the tax rolls, and so therefore no longer becomes an income source for the municipality.
Well, that I could see would rub a lot of locals the wrong way.
I think that's very specific. Somebody would have to know, about tax issues. I think the problem, this town-gown conflict, is much more generalized than that. I think it's seeing the students misbehaving, seeing the alcohol consumption, blaming the students for, any drug issues that are out there in the local community. And all of this is probably an over-exaggeration. In somebody who becomes so tunnel-visioned in their hatred, they pick up every little thing. So that can include, they're coming in, taking our properties. My kid can't buy a property because all the cheap properties have been bought up, etc., etc., etc. And then we have all of these students in bars. You can't go and relax anywhere. You can understand how somebody who has got that capacity to be so deranged that they're going to commit a quadruple homicide, to have such hatred in them and be honed in on exemplars of that group that they hate. Sleuthing Sandals, member for 6 months. Thank you for the excellent analysis, Michelle. It's what I've been doing for years. It's my area of expertise when I was working at a university. My area of expertise was forensic and social psychology. My last job was as a reader of forensic psychology. Reader, like I don't know whether reader is a title in the US. Like in the UK, the lecturing system goes something like this: associate lecturer, lecturer, senior lecturer, reader, professor. So when I left, I was a reader. So I was very close to becoming a full professor. And then I decided to leave for lots of reasons. But what's the obsession? Has become a secret agent. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, my interest was in sex crime, hate crime. Those are my areas of interest. So these types of murders fit my area of expertise perfectly. It's why I'm seeing the hallmarks of a hate crime here. I really am. Now, whether that turns out that it's related to a local resident who can't stand students, whether it turns out to be that, whether it turns out to be a student who hates those individuals for whatever reason, there's still that aspect of hate that is all over this crime, all over it. Technical Out, thank you for the $4.99. To me, this crime resembles those of Danny Rollins and Ted Bundy. I don't believe the murderer was known to the victim. There's always that angle as well, that this is a budding serial killer, that this isn't somebody who has been doing this for years. Could be, but I don't think so. But it could be that this is the beginnings of a serial killer. It could be. Could well be. Okay, let's play the rest of this now, because this person here whose name escapes me has got a slightly different take on it.
Sudden they don't get that tax boon. But, I wonder, Lauren, if, Moscow, there's a real range, right, of how some town-gown relationships can be. And since you live there, you worked there, you went to school there, what's your estimation of the town-gown relationship with the University of Idaho?
Yeah, Ashley, it's an interesting question. Moscow and the university, I really see them as just integral and really united. The University of Idaho is actually the #1 employer in Moscow with nearly 2,000 employees. So you take the University of Idaho out of Moscow and you just have another tiny Northwest farm town.
That's absolutely true. And it was this clip where the University of Idaho employs 2,000 people. But as I said, somebody who isn't thinking straight, somebody who's thinking in a deranged way, you know, so deranged that they're prepared to commit a quadruple homicide, they're not thinking like that. They're not thinking of the benefits of the university and the students for the town. They're not thinking about that. They're so tunnel visioned. It's absolutely right what she's saying. Absolutely right what she's saying. But not everybody thinks like that.
Do have issues where we're sort of landlocked with really valuable farmland used to grow wheat and lentil and other agricultural crops. So there is a sort of push and pull between how much do we reserve for the agricultural, community, and how much do we expand to build more housing for both residents and students who want to live here. Maybe there's different dynamics when it comes to being in a bigger city with, college students and how they're treated by the town. But as someone who studied journalism here, I was a student here, I'm now a reporter here and a resident, I just really feel like Moscow and the University of Idaho are united and in general have just a wonderful relationship.
They might do. There might be a lot of people who like the university being there, who recognize that, this is a small town and this would be just another small farming town without the university. 2,000 people would be without employment if the university suddenly disappeared from the face of the earth. But not everybody thinks like that. And I'm in a kind of a similar position to this woman that, I lived in the area where I went to do my undergrad and then my postgrad degree. I lived like 15 miles away from the university campus, and I used to commute. I didn't stay on campus as a student. I commuted. So I knew that local area. And then, I was a student there for 6 years as an undergrad, then a postgrad. And then I got a job there. I saw that university develop, and the town that, it was a very small campus at first, and then it expanded and expanded and expanded, brought a lot of money in as student fees increased. And what used to be an old mill town became a city, got city status, and that was part of the input from the university. So, it's had a lot of important expansion. That's why I know that there's probably some aspect of cover up to this, that the university wants to play down, understandably, because it's a business. They want to play down this because it's going to affect enrollments next year. They're not going to want to admit that there's a threat to other students, and there may well be a threat to other students. If this turns out to be a hate crime, the killer's still on the loose, there definitely is a threat to other students. Not that I think they're going to do anything immediately. I'm not. But this person needs to be taken off the streets. This person is a dangerous, dangerous individual and needs to be taken off the streets. Yeah, it's catching them, isn't it? Boobery, thank you for joining our memberships. Welcome. ASMR fan, welcome. And Emerald Lip Speaking, welcome. Living exclamation mark. Welcome. 4 new secret agents there. That's great. Welcome. So it's obvious that the university is an integral part of the town, and without the economy that the university brings in, the town would suffer greatly. But not everybody thinks like that, as I keep saying.
Well, it's good to hear that, Steve, I didn't even realize that you can categorize the relationship into 4 of these subsets, which I want to read out. This is just fascinating information from you, and I'll list them on the screen. The relationship can be harmonious, it can be traditional, it can be conflicted, and it can be devitalized. And I can kind of get a sense of, devitalized sounds like it's kind of all hope is gone. But really, when it comes right down to it, if it's one person who has decided that he's had enough for whatever reason, that's all it really takes. You don't need an entire community breakdown to have one person, to decide to do something.
Absolutely. She's totally right. That this isn't a community issue. This isn't town versus gown that's directly resulted in these murders. It's one individual. If this is the reason, if this is the angle, if this is a resident of the town who is so deranged, potentially a budding serial killer who enjoys killing, but has focused on students because they're a hated group. It's the actions of one person, not the actions of a community. That's got to be incredibly clear, that we're not talking about this being the university's blamed for this because the residents all hate them. That's not true at all. This is one deranged individual who's so tunnel visioned in focusing on their hatred, they're not seeing the other side of it. They're not seeing the massive benefits that the university brings to the town of Moscow. It could be completely the wrong track to follow. It could be. But I just think this is a really interesting angle because it fits in with how I'm characterizing this as a hate crime above anything else.
I guess it stands to reason, doesn't it, Steve?
Certainly, there are lots of times in which we see town-gown conflict become very personalized. However, I have to say that in almost every case that I've ever heard of where things have gotten, let's say, to the next level of conflict, it oftentimes is directed at university administrators or other representatives and not the students. For better and for worse, students tend to be the tip of the sword or the vanguard for the university in the community. And I think more times than not, even though student misbehavior is an issue, oftentimes the students are the ones that are most beloved and most thought most well of by community residents.
Thank you for watching.
I don't know that I agree with that. Because yes, from a political standpoint, the argument is going to be with the university administration, with the management. But I don't think in this instance we're dealing with somebody who's got, he's active in the community, is speaking out in the community against the administration of the university. I think if this is the angle, if this is it's not someone connected to the university, it's not a fellow student, it's somebody who's committed a hate crime, a very extreme version of a hate crime, but has done that through hatred. And these victims are exemplars of the group that they hate. And I think that is focused on students. I think they might want to, the university obviously will want to play that down because it will affect enrollments next year or this year coming up. I don't think we're dealing with a rocket scientist either, but I do think it's somebody who has got enough intelligence to, well, they didn't leave a trail on the outside, did they? Somebody who's committed a quadruple homicide, and obviously there's a lot of blood involved in this. How did they walk out without leaving a trail? How did they do that? How is that possible? Did they stay there and wash and change their clothes? Did they have that level of intelligence to do that? I don't think so. But why is there no trail on the outside? There's no evidence markers on the outside of that property. I haven't seen any evidence markers on the outside. So it means that they've not left footprints. They've not left blood. like, you know, blood dripping. They've not left anything on the outside. And if they've left minimal evidence inside, then it means that they've gone covered up. If there's no fingerprints, if there's minimal DNA transfer, they've had some level of common sense. This is not a frenzy. Yes, there's a rage element, there's a hate element to this, but it's not frenzy. This is cold, calculating murder. This is very planned, in my opinion. So yeah, but if you have someone living in that local area who over time has become more and more mentally ill and more tunnel visioned and start to blame everything that's bad in their life on the students, you've got the potential for someone who will commit murder. In my opinion. In my opinion. Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I think they know the area very, very well. They could have put, if they've got, you know, like what workers use, if like construction workers come and do some work on your house or whatever, and they put those plastic things on over their shoes when they come inside, that could be a really important clue, actually. That could be somebody who works in an environment where they put those little booties on. So yeah, that could be very relevant. Definitely premeditated, without a shadow of a doubt. This isn't somebody, in my opinion, who had a one-off argument or who was spurned one time by one of the victims. This is premeditated, in my opinion. This isn't frenzied. This is cold, calculated rage rather than frenzied rage, in my opinion. If they left if they had a shower after, they've left a ton of evidence. They've left a ton of evidence, unless they were able to clean that shower with, you know, literally bleach the entire place. Then they've left a ton of evidence. Because when you have a shower, you slough off dead skin cells, you slough off hair, that's perfect. That would be perfect for the investigators. So if they had a shower, they've cleaned that shower thoroughly, or else they've left a ton of DNA. So yeah, I think so. I think it's very planned, in my opinion. I think they had gloves on. Yeah, I think they most probably had gloves on. Not that we know about. There's no evidence markers on the outside. None. I've been watching. They've stopped doing it now, but when they were searching the entire grounds, they crime taped the entire property, like the property line, the property boundaries. And they were up and down that hill. They were doing all sorts of stuff. They had dogs out going around the perimeter. And I think they were looking for things that the perpetrator might have dropped, yes, as the kind of people focused in on. But I think they were looking for things like footprints, blood spatter that's come off the clothing. And if they'd have found anything, there would be evidence markers. There would have been evidence markers that would then have been photographed before that crime scene was released, and that crime scene has not been released yet. So the evidence markers would still be there, but they're not. There's no evidence markers on the outside. Not that I've seen. Not that I've seen anywhere. And those reporters have been there. Yeah, we do know what the kids were studying. I can't remember offhand what they were studying. One of them was doing communications. One or two of them were doing communications. I can't remember, but we do know that that has been released, what they've been studying. Hospital. Somebody, I don't know. Somebody who had they had enough nous about them to know what they were doing. PPE, yeah. Yeah. Could well be. Could well be. Nanny Love, welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome. Marketing, yeah. Somebody was doing communications. Marketing makes sense. I do remember that. I saw that they had the furnace guy round. I don't know. Maybe just the heat went out. Kaylee was studying general studies. I don't even know what general studies is. Sports management, okay. One in business. Okay, so it has been released. It has been released. Brenda, welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Thank you, thank you. Maddie was a marketing major. Okay, so yeah, we do know what they were doing. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about before I go and start my day is this dude here. He's had some interest in him over the last few hours. This was the last thing I saw before I went to bed. So this guy, Leonard James Curtis, or James Leonard Curtis, whichever way it goes round. He was caught in Moscow a mile away from the murder house, to put it plainly, peeping Tomming. So obviously this is worth a look. This is worth a look. So these are his details. This is his booking date. This is his mugshot. I've cut that off a little bit. Didn't mean to, but he's got a bandage on his hand. So a lot of people were speculating on Twitter whether this is our guy. He's got previous for domestic violence, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, strangulation attempted, and injuries to a child. I also believe that he's a previous convict of manslaughter. So this dude has got some previous. Now, the cops haven't come out as of yet. Not that they've put on their official updates that this dude isn't related. I'm sure they're having a very, very close look at this guy. There's rumors that he's not related, but I haven't seen anything official as of yet. He looks like he's got enough previous behind him to be capable of murder, in my opinion. He's no stranger to violence, no stranger to using deadly weapons. However, this dude's a felon. So habitual offender, absolutely, Sandy, and not just an habitual offender of one type of violence either. He seems to be somebody who does the full caboodle of it all. You know, against children, against domestic partners. We don't know what the aggravated assault was for. I don't know whether that was about a partner, a strangulation attempt. You know, these things here on his record. And he was arrested whilst peeping Tomming. Obviously, this is all alleged. This is what he was arrested for. He's obviously innocent till proven guilty. But I don't know how old he is. Somebody asked how old he was. I don't know how old he is. It'll have his age on. I just got these screenshots off Twitter. It will. I'll look up the court thing after. That'll have his age on. I just grabbed these screenshots for the sake of today doing this live. But all of that information will be there on his record. How old he is? 38. You say, Morgan? He does look about that. I'd say he was in his 30s. But the Peeping Tom incident was in Moscow, a mile away from the home. So he's definitely worth a look. He's worth keeping there on the back burner. The police, he's a felon. They've got his DNA. The police will have DNA back from the scene if, indeed, the perp left any DNA at the scene. If they were clever enough to do an almost complete cover-up so that, you know, the victims who fought back didn't have DNA under the fingernails, they weren't able to pull hair, skin didn't slough off just, you know, as a result of, he didn't cut himself and didn't bleed. All of these things are possible, and he didn't leave DNA at the scene. I don't think it's likely that he would not leave any DNA at the scene, but it's possible that he didn't leave any DNA at the scene if he was clever enough to think that through. So this dude is on my radar. I would like the police to come out and say it's not connected, and then I can just rule him out. You know, I don't have to look into him any further. But I think they can rule him out very quickly because he is a felon. He could have a rock-solid alibi for the early morning hours of the 13th of November. He could have an absolutely rock-solid alibi. We don't know yet, but I'm sure that the police, I bet their hearts were in their mouths when they got that call, when that came over the dispatch. There's a Peeping Tom a mile away. They pick him up and they look at his record and they go, I bet there's more than one officer who thought we've got our man. You know, their first reaction was we've got our man. But I'm very reluctant to look into this guy any further because I think if they're going to rule him out, they're going to rule him out very quickly. He did kill someone. Yeah, it was manslaughter, apparently. I bet he's lawyered up. Absolutely. I bet he's lawyered up. Without a doubt. He's kind of old to be a peeper. No, he's not. He's not. Peeping Toms come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. People think it's like a teenager's thing. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's across the board. It's across the ages. Any age. Absolutely. So that's what I've got to show you. I'm going to, before I sign off, just signpost everybody to this. This is the latest update. I read this out at the beginning of the stream, but as a lot of people came in after, I just want to read this again because this is the latest update from Moscow PD. Detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know anyone who may have been driving this vehicle on the days preceding or the day of the murders, please forward this to the tip line. Tip line is 208-883-7180. Email is tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. And any digital media can be sent to the FBI at fbi.gov/Moscow, Idaho. So these are photos that are the stock images. This isn't the vehicle itself. They want to speak to the owner of this white Hyundai Elantra that was in the immediate area at the time of the murders. So, common car, older model. Need to find this person who, you know, to rule them out. To rule them out. Holly, isn't. It looks like the car towed out of the girl's yard. No, the car that was towed out of the girl's yard, they were the victims' cars and the roommates' cars. They know whose cars they were. This is something that's coming from a tip. This is something that's coming from a tip. This isn't one of the victims' cars or one of the roommates' cars. Well, it's not brand new. That's what I'm saying. True Crime Utah. It's not a brand new car. It might be a car that somebody in the local area has owned for several years. I know that, Flipper. Yeah, I've seen that. Megan Boswell has requested wearing street clothes for hearings from now on. Yeah, she can wear what she wants. She can wear a ball gown for all I care. Oh dear, it is smart. It is a good move. But whatever, she can do what she wants. Let her wear street clothes. Just get her to trial. That's all I care about now. The car was actually seen on a police body cam. Yeah, I'm going to check that out, Angel. I'm going to check that out because it's important that I think it's as important if it wasn't on that police body cam. There's 20 minutes of police body cam out there that I haven't seen yet. I know some creators have got it, but I'm gonna look into that today. Because if it's not on the body cam, then where did it come from? Where did it come from? It obviously came from the opposite direction. You'd like to know my theory, V.I. Hayes. I haven't got one theory about this case. I haven't got one theory. But I do have a profile that I've been talking about on several videos. So I've got a profile of this dude. So go and check out my videos that say profile in the title on this case. Yeah, check out my videos. Because I'm going to leave you to it now. I'm going to sign off because I need to go and start my day. Cassie's getting very antsy. She's got a sock. Where have you got that sock from? Where have you got that from? She's not telling me where she's got a random sock. Give. Thank you. No, she's not going to give it me. She's trying to attract my attention so that I'll take her for a walk. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Or else she'll start finding stuff to wind me up with. Thank you. Thank you. Good girl. I've rescued the sock now. All right, guys. I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to the moderators. I did see who was in here. Can't see it on StreamYard. But anyway, thank you to the moderators who hopped in at very, very, very short notice. I had no plans to go live this morning. Certainly not that I told anybody anyway. I kind of do this stuff and leaves the moderators a bit on the hop, but I appreciate you. I appreciate all you do for the channel. Thank you for the super chats, the super stickers. Welcome to the new members, and I'll see you very soon. And hello to all the replay crew, because I guess there's going to be quite a few of you who catch this on the replay. All right, that's all I've got. I'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.